Welcome. It is April 8th. Oh my, year of our Lord 2025. We're about to get started with our final lecture of this semester. So, if you are a student at the University of Houston, well, I want to invite you to come along and hold on here. Looks like my camera froze. Hopefully, my audio didn't freeze. There we go. Back to. So, I want to first say to our Cougars, I'm so sorry for our loss. Great season. Uh, wow, what just a great season. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for all your hard work. I grew up in Lansing, Michigan, and I went to high school with Magic Johnson. And so watching Magic go through high school and win lots of championships in the high school level and then into Michigan State University. It was something our entire city celebrated, and I certainly did. It was kind of the highlight of my sports career, as a sports fan. Not a huge sports fan, but I love college basketball anyway. Uh, so that's what yesterday, this Final Four was a flashback for me to those exciting times. And so, anyway, good season. Way to go. See you next year. All right, let's get started. Let me see here. I want to talk about the assignment coming up for this week. I think I went to the wrong place. I did. Hold on just a second. So it's a little early. It's only 1 minute after, but I'm going to this lecture is going to be mainly about this week's assignment, and so we'll talk about that. I've got the Zoom room open, but this semester has been interesting. We've had students who prefer to watch live on YouTube, and I like that. So we are streaming live right now on YouTube and Facebook, and LinkedIn. So if you're not connected with me on LinkedIn, hope you'll do that. This is the last lecture in this semester. That's so hard to believe. And I did announce earlier, a couple weeks ago, that I will be taking a sabbatical in 2026. So if you're a student in the course, I'm glad you were able to be here. I'm sorry I'll miss the next cohort, but we've got some things going on with the family, some commitments that are going to keep me busy, and my business is booming, and it's keeping me busy. So it was time to take a sabbatical, and we'll decide what to do after that. The Bauer College of Business, by the way, has really focused on bringing everyone back on campus, which I think is a great thing. I think it's the right thing for most students. Curious what you think. Leave a comment below if you just want to share how you feel about online courses versus being on campus. So just leave a comment for that if you want to. So we are going to get started here in just a minute. I'm going to talk about this week's assignment, and I'm also going to cover some things about the capstone assignment, some things. I'm going to cover some offerings for you, so we'll do that here in a minute. So let's first of all, let me go here and just show you. If you click the link in the video, the description in the video, you will see this week's assignment, and that's what I will be looking at. This is kind of my show notes, if you will. So this is pretty much what you have in Canvas, and we're going to go over this assignment here in a minute. That tick right there, that is a tick. If you're not familiar with what a tick looks like blown up in an illustration, there you have it. That's an illustration in my book, Make Your Money Count. It's also in my I've written 3 books, and that's a set of illustrations that were drawn by my friend Taylor Springle. And this one is a TIC. And so what that is, it's just a something to help you remember the 7 elements of financial planning, the 7 elements of personal finance. So the free TIC, it's a mnemonic. It's a word that has a bunch of other words. I should put that on the screen, but I'm not going to. But free TIC, you'll see it. Well, I actually have it right here. Stands for, it was right there all the time. Free TIC. So I'm just going to talk about this for just 1 minute before we move into today's lesson. But free TIC, that dude right there, that was my attempt back when I wrote some books to help people understand the overview of personal finance. So if you're kind of new to personal finance and financial planning, as a certified financial planner, I wanted to communicate kind of what the overall process was. So that's an acronym. I always get acronyms and other words like that. I wonder if I can look that up. Look at that. I could look that up. Acronym, an abbreviation formed from the initial letters of other words pronounced as a word, e.g. free TIC. How about that? Okay, so that was fun. So free TIC stands for financial independence. Some people like the word retirement, and retirement planning is a big part of personal finance, but it is, and it's a big part of what you learned this semester in the course. But retirement is really, so I prefer financial independence. And when I work on a financial plan, typically what I'm working on is not a plan to help my client go out to pasture and do nothing. It's usually a plan to help them do the next thing in their life that really matters to them. And so to do that, you need to have financial stability, security, what I call financial independence. To get to that point in your life, excuse me, to get to that point in your life where I want you to be, the whole goal of this course was to help you get to that point in your life where you would have the independence, the choice to do the next thing you want to do and not have to work. So that's the big idea from the free TIC financial planning perspective. It starts with that big idea in mind. So when you think about the free TIC, that's where that illustration came from. But then the rest of it is just the basic elements of financial planning. So you have retirement planning, which is a big part of personal finance. It's a big part of financial planning. If you're a certified financial planner, financial independence or retirement planning is where a lot of our work and effort goes into to help clients. But the next one is risk management, and that includes insurance planning. We covered a little bit of that this semester. But there's so much we could cover in risk management and insurance planning. So just so you know, that's what the R stands for. And then E is estate planning. The next E is for education planning. The T, the big T, tax planning. And then I is investment planning. And you guys have worked on all of this. The next one is cash flow planning or cash flow management. And so that is the free TIC. So just wanted you to see, this is your assignment this week, should you choose to accept it, the blueprint for financial success. So let me get started here and jump into the blueprint assignment. So what I wanted to start with is the blueprint assignment is for you if you need the points. So this is a unique assignment. It's the last assignment before the capstone, and we're going to talk about the capstone assignment. We're going to talk about the tutorial review. I'm going to just mention it real quick. Let me just jump over here and do this real quick. The capstone assignment review. I'm just going to talk about this for a minute now, and then I'll talk about it again later. But this is this week's not so secret class collaboration. So if you're doing the assignment this week, you will be required to do this week's class collaboration, which includes, actually, I'm not sure that we have it posted in the assignment, but I'll just tell you, here's what I want you to be talking about. It's not a secret, but it's important. It's important if you need help with your capstone assignment. So if you want to avoid any kind of deductions in your capstone assignment, here's what you want to do. I want you to remember the tutorial. In fact, I think we have, I do have right here the tutorial. Let me just do this real quick and hide that. So this is the capstone tutorial. We talked about this last week. It was your capstone or your class collaboration for last week. So if several of you have already done this, and I don't want you to think I forgot about you. I didn't forget about you. I will be doing your capstone tutorial, but I wanted to this week announce that we have until this coming week to hold on. Let me get rid of that. This coming week, this Friday, you have until this Friday to submit your capstone assignment. Not your capstone assignment, but your capstone tutorial request. The capstone assignment is going to be due in 2 weeks. So there's no assignment this coming week. There is this coming week. It's the blueprint, which I'm going to talk about. But the capstone assignment is for everyone. You have to do the capstone assignment, and you don't want to get deductions. So for that reason, I'm trying to encourage you. That's why this is the class collaboration conversation for this week. And it is, again, the tutorial request. And it's just, I want you to know, and I want you to comment on and have a conversation about the fact that you still have an opportunity to submit your capstone tutorial request. So if you're struggling in the course, this is for you. It gives you an opportunity to get my input on your capstone assignment, which can help you improve. Even if you've missed things throughout the semester, this is a great way for you to try to get to prevent some deductions on your capstone assignment. So the deadline is this Friday. If you want some help with your capstone assignment, get that to me. And you already know how to do that. I want an email. I want you to show me what your questions are very specifically using screenshots from your Right Capital plan. Tell me what you're trying to solve, what you're trying to figure out. Most of the time, you're trying to move the needle, or you have this huge amount of excess at the end of your plan. And remember, in the end of your plan, when you do your probability of success, if you have over $5 million at the end of your plan, you have to comment. You have to tell me, why do I have so much money left over? And maybe it's just because you started investing early, you invested in a more aggressive asset allocation, and over time that had a great it moved the needle in your financial plan. But I want you to convince me that you're paying attention to those numbers. So if the number, the end of your plan, is over $5 million, you're required to give me a comment and convince me that you have a clue. If you have $1 billion of ending value and you say, hey, everything looks good, I'm going to be like, no, it doesn't look good. And you may have a reason for $1 billion, but you need to figure that out. So if you're in that boat and you have these huge numbers in your plan, let's take a look at your plan and figure out why. And if you can't do that, if you can't figure out why, do your best, put an email together with screenshots, tell me what you're trying to solve, and tell me what you've done to try to solve that. Just where did you look, what did you do, and then send me an email with that whole one email, one PDF, hopefully with all of that information, just like you're doing a regular assignment. Do that PDF, create a document, and send it to me, and I'll use your document. I'll go into your Right Capital plan, and I will help you solve that. make sure in the email that you include your permission for me to do that, for me to jump into your Right Capital plan and do the video tutorial. I'm going to do one capstone review, and I'm going to use all of your requests, plural, your tutorial requests, to go in and help you figure out what's going on in your capstone. So this will be, instead of a lecture, I will do a capstone review video. It'll be posted, obviously, in the playlist. So I need your permission. I'll do the capstone review video for the whole cohort. Those of you who request the tutorial, you got to give me permission to use your plan to help answer questions. So if I get dozens of requests, I'll pick and choose the best ones. I can't promise I'll do all of them, but right now I only have 2, and I'm not going to say the name of the students, but those will be in the capstone review, unless I get some others that are just easier and better. So this is for your capstone assignment, by the way. If you have real questions about real life, I will answer those. I'll be happy to help you with those at the end of the semester if you have real life financial planning questions. But for the purpose of this course, and for the capstone assignment in particular, I want to make sure you get your questions answered. So you may be going to GroupMe, you may be getting most of your questions answered, but if you want to get one final review of your plan before you submit your capstone assignment, this is your opportunity. And again, if you're doing this week's assignment, the blueprint, then that's the class collaboration for this week. What I want to do with the capstone review is just help you avoid any deductions. So that should be that. Let's see. Let me go back here and back here. I'm going to just talk about the blueprint assignment. If I can get to, I think, where I want to be. Yeah, so we're going to talk about the blueprint assignment. And you'll see there's some reading information, and you can see that, well, it's in Money Study Group, but it's also, I think I put a link to it in the post for this week's video. So if you're not in the course and you don't have access to Canvas, click the link below in the video and you'll get to see the reading material. It's from my book, Make Your Money Count. It's the blueprint for financial success. In your financial plan at Right Capital, you have a blueprint. You're going to want to grab that. These are all outlined in the instructions for your assignment. I'm just mentioning them. We're going to talk a little bit about your goals. I want to hear really how the goals in your plan fit into your vision for your life and your values and what your purpose is. That's really something I try to do with clients when I develop a financial plan, is try to understand what matters most as we develop a plan around your life. It's not just about the numbers. A financial plan is really about syncing up your vision and your values and your purpose with your financial goals. So that's what financial life planning, a lot of folks call it financial life planning, and that's a good word for it. And that's what I want you to think about this week as you do this assignment. If you need the points, you should do this assignment. If you don't need this assignment, you don't have to do this assignment. I also want you to just talk a little bit about the free TIC summary. I want you to convince me that that makes sense to you. You've gone through a lot of information this semester. If you need the points for this assignment, part of it is go ahead and give me your free TIC summary. What is it? What are those things that are part of the free TIC? So we've already talked a little bit about those. Some more information that you're going to have to include if you do this assignment is all of your spending data. So at the beginning of the semester, everyone in the course committed to using an app to track your spending. And I told you at the beginning of the semester that there's an assignment at the end of this semester where you will need to have all of the transactions for this week, for this semester. So that's what you're going to be doing in this assignment, is you're going to give me just a quick PDF, just export all of the transactions for this semester, showing me what your what you spent. And the reason for that is because I want you to then take those expenses and put them into categories and create a graph. I don't care what type of graph you create, depending on what app you used to capture your transactions. That app will very likely create the graph for you. And I don't care what the graph is. If you happen to be one of those students who want to use Excel, I always discourage that because that requires manual entry, which almost always leaves me questioning whether or not you got all of your transactions. And so there's generally deductions for students who use Excel because it's just not a good system typically for capturing transactions. So if you're one of the students who insists on using Excel, you're going to have to go above and beyond to convince me that you captured all of your transactions. And then you're going to have to create a graph. So then the next part of the assignment, there are three things that are part of this spending tracker assignment. And one is all the data. Two is a graph that categorizes the expenses. And then third is, what did you learn this semester about your spending habits? And that's always interesting. That's my favorite part of this part of the assignment. So what spending patterns do you have in your life? And your insights and your takeaways, that's really what this assignment is all about. So let's see, we've already talked a little bit about the capstone tutorial. We'll talk again about that in just a minute. But first, what else did we want to do? Let me just take a quick look at, hold on. I'm going to jump over to, let's see, I'm going to jump over to my iPad for a minute. And I'm just going to scroll down and see if I'm missing anything. So we talked about free TIC. And again, you're going to just review that and you're going to give me your observations, your comments about what these elements of financial planning are. That's part of this week's assignment, should you choose to do it. Now, obviously, I gave you a really good summary of what each of these is. And again, this is straight from my book, Make Your Money Count. This happens to be this, let me get rid of this. So what you're seeing now is the blueprint. Now this is my blueprint. This is the blueprint that I developed when I wrote my books, and it shows the different elements of your financial plan. But the blueprint that you're going to be playing with in this assignment is part of Right Capital. But conceptually, I want you just to think about the blueprint. So one of the things that you do when you create a financial plan is you do what I call a fearless financial inventory. It shows all of your expenses, all of your income, and you did all of this in Right Capital. Much of your numbers, many of your numbers were make-believe, pretending that you're going to have this dream job when you graduate. So that's great. Your numbers are going to not be realistic. Well, hopefully they're realistic, but they're not real. So if that makes sense, hopefully it does. But anyway, this is just to help you understand the financial planning process. So that was kind of it. Just wanted to review that. Now let me go back to, there we go. Let me get rid of the blueprint. Let me get rid of that. And let's talk about, so one more time, this assignment that you're going to be doing, the blueprint assignment, is only for students who need it. So who does that include? If you look in Canvas, you will see the number of points that you have. And hopefully you know how many points you have in this course. You need 950 points to get an A. You still have the capstone assignment, which is worth 200 points. So if you have 800 points right now, and that means you've done pretty well this semester. You've gotten maybe no deductions. You've turned your assignments in early. You got extra points. So if that's you, you don't need to do this assignment. And I would encourage you, I mean, unless you want to do it, uh, great. But remember, I made you a promise at the beginning of this semester, and the promise was if you take advantage of my offer to do your assignments early, then you will get to the end of the semester, which is where we are now, and you won't need the points. And so there's one assignment that's optional for you. It's not optional. It's kind of weird because students who struggle, they really want that. Well, it is what it is. If you have the points, you don't have to do this assignment. If you don't have enough points, you do have to do this assignment, and you have to do it completely, and you have to, do it accurately in order to get the points. So that's that. The blueprint assignment is what it is. If you have, now back to points, let me just mention, I did something this semester that I've never done before, and that is there are 200 points for class participation, and you knew that. Every week I give you these secret class collaboration points to make sure that you're watching the lectures and you've done a great job. And those of you who have done a great job, you received all those points throughout the semester. You got extra points for turning it in early. You got no deductions for missing the secret class collaboration points. And so you're in great shape. And because of that, I went ahead and added your 200 points to your Canvas grade. So you'll see that in Canvas. I've never done that before. And here's the warning. Warning, warning, warning. I wish I had a button. I should have a button for warning, but I don't see it. Let me see. Do I see a button for warning? Let's see. No buttons for warning. I'm not seeing it. Let me see. No buttons for warning. I've got all these buttons, but I'm not seeing any buttons for warning. So, oh well. Back to that. Warning. If you got 200 points for your class collaboration and you don't do the capstone assignment, which is required, you will get a deduction. You will lose all of your 200 points because you have to do the capstone assignment. So don't think that because you have a lot of points, you can blow off the capstone. It's not a difficult assignment. It's a lot of information, but you're basically going to be grabbing everything you've done throughout the semester, putting it all together in a capstone assignment. So just don't be faked out that you got 200 points, in your Canvas through class collaboration. That's because I just wanted you to see how many points you have so that you can make an informed decision about whether or not you really want to do this 12th assignment, the blueprint. But if you have 700 points, do the blueprint assignment. If you have, anything that's even close, give yourself some margin, okay? But if you've done every assignment early and you've gotten no deductions, you've got 800 points, then I want you to go spend your time on some other classes that have final exams where you can invest that time, your time, and make some, move the needle in those classes where it's more difficult. That was my promise at the beginning of the semester, that you'd be able to do that. So now it's time for you to receive the benefits of that. So that's that. I think that's pretty much today's really not going to be a very long lecture. I'm going to let you go do this assignment, and I'm going to really look forward to getting your capstone tutorial requests. I think that's I'm looking forward to doing that. It's kind of going to be our last time together in this semester. So I will look forward to doing that capstone review video. I do hope you will connect with me. LinkedIn is my favorite social. Right now we're live streaming to all over the place. We're live streaming to YouTube. So if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you want to be notified when I do videos in the future for the next cohorts. And also just to stay connected, if you want to stay connected with me, LinkedIn is the best, but YouTube is I have at Jim Munchbach is my YouTube channel, and that's where I put all my videos. They're in other places as well. Like we're right now, we're streaming to LinkedIn and X, Facebook, and several YouTube channels, but the main channel is at Jim Munchbach. So I would encourage you, if you want to get notified when I post videos, whether it's a tutorial for this semester or next semester, if you want to get notified, then you need to subscribe. If you don't have a YouTube account, that does you no good, but I think YouTube is a good platform. It's easy to use. That's why I use it. It doesn't cost anything. So anyway, hope that helps. I'm pretty much done for today. I know that I'm missing something. I'm looking at my notes, and I will look forward to getting your emails for those of you who want to get a tutorial. So don't forget. Let me see. I think I want to just one more time. Let me go here, see if this makes sense. I'm just going to kind of look at this screen with you for a minute for the capstone tutorial request, just to make sure. So you're going to send an email, include some screenshots, be specific when you ask those questions, and tell me, what have you tried to do? I mean, don't just ask me to do the work for you, but show me what you've tried to fix your problem or solve your question. And make sure you give me permission, because I'm going to jump right into, in fact, I'm going to just, well, no, I'm not going to do that. When I do the tutorial video, though, your capstone review, when I do that, I will be jumping right into your right capital plan. So I need your permission, or I will not do your capstone review. So if you send me the tutorial, make sure you give me permission and be specific. And do try to send one PDF. Just think of it like it's a regular assignment where you create the content and then you export it to a PDF. It just makes it easier for me, and I appreciate easy. So that's that. I do hope that you will consider that. I know it's a many of you don't need the help. So if you don't need the help, don't send me. Please don't send me a request to do a tutorial just because you want to get a little polish on your capstone. I mean, that's probably what I would do if I was in a good place, but I'm really looking for students who have questions that are going to impact their final grade and their capstone. I want to give you, if you're that student, I want to give you the opportunity to turn it in, submit it to me, and get some help. So if you're doing awesome in the course, you don't need to send me a capstone tutorial request, because that would be fun, but it wouldn't be as productive maybe. So, but again, if you send it to me, maybe nobody sends me any requests, and you send me here's my capstone, it's awesome, tell me what I can do to make it awesomer. If that happens and I don't get the other requests, then I'll do the awesomer one. So anyway, hope that helps. All right, back to our sadness that we did not win the championship, but we came this close. And hey, way to go, Cougs. See you next time. I think that's going to do it. Leave your comments below in the video, and I read those, and sometimes I reply to them. And if you're a student and you are, if you're in the course, send me that email. I'll see you soon. Y'all have a great week. It's been a lot of fun. Actually, it hasn't always been fun. It's been rewarding to read your assignments and to see the growth that you've experienced this semester. And every one of you that sent me messages telling me how much you've learned, it means the world to me, and I appreciate it. And as I take the next year off, those kind words will go with me and forever. I do hope and believe that I'll come back to teaching after the year 2026, after I take a 1-year sabbatical. My wife and I we live right now in a metal box in the woods. Currently, we're staying at the Lake Livingston State Park, and we have an RV. My wife's a park host, if you didn't know that, volunteer, so we get to live in the park for free and enjoy its beauty. We go from park to park around Houston. So that's what we're doing. Next year, we're pretty booked. I'm currently in Friendswood in my studio at my house, and I come home or to my office every week to do the course and also to meet with clients. So that's my life. I'll see you again. I hope I hope you will consider jumping on the YouTube channel and connecting with me there in LinkedIn. And I look forward to staying in touch. So you guys have a great week, and I'll see you soon. Take care.